think that these are the wisest people in your community. These are the people that understand what the world looked like before the world looks like it looks right now, right? They understood a different reality. They had less to work with. In certain areas, they accomplished more. And I thought, man, this would be interesting just to kind of put that in perspective, right? So I'm going to go through this video again, but this time piece by piece, and sort of lean into the wealth creation aspect of each individual statement. So let's go back and let's watch this again and with a critical eye. Here we go.
We're black people from the 1940s, and we stayed married because broken families were too expensive.
Okay. Now, again, I'm not telling anybody to get married or stay married if that's not what you want to do. But all the studies show that families have an easier time building wealth than individuals. And one thing I want you to start paying attention to is whenever they start talking about how how it's so expensive or too expensive for a person to pay bills and do all these things on one, income, I want you to notice that they never really talk about a couple or two people doing it together. It's usually like one person trying to figure it out by themselves. That's not really how capitalism is best conquered. Teamwork does make a difference. I'm not saying that everyone has to go do this. I'm saying that if you do it, if almost all of us choose a relationship at some point, but a relationship really is an investment, and taking that time to investigate before you invest is absolutely essential because that can make the difference between life or death financially. All right, next point.
We're black people from the 1940s, and we built our own businesses because nobody was coming to save us.
Boom. Okay. So they didn't have your grandparents, great grandparents didn't have the illusion that white folks love them and we're going to open the door for them and give them jobs and give them opportunities. So they said, okay, nobody's coming to save us. We have to save ourselves. Maybe it would be easier if we did have some help, but sort of this idea, it almost feels like hopelessness, right? Like I'm giving up any hope that my oppressor is going to come save me from my oppression. I'm going to do this myself, and as a result, their backs were a little bit straighter. They had a little bit more capability and confidence and skill sets than a lot of our young people do now. A lot of our young people now, unfortunately, I think because they were fed an illusion, they end up sort of spending a lot of time being sad because white people didn't show up. When there are you have great grandparents who say, well, what makes you think that they were ever going to show up for you in the first place? Nothing against white people, but it's just the reality. So here's the next one.
We're black people from the 1940s, and we kept our money in our own communities because power doesn't travel far when it leaks.
Okay. Power doesn't travel far when it leaks. Remember, we talked about this yesterday, that your money circulates just like air circulates in your house. So when you turn on the air condition and you want to be energy efficient, and it's hot outside, you shut the windows, right? If you have a leak, then that's going to cause your electricity bill to go way up, and your house is going to be hot. So you end up spending the most money to have a hot house because you never shut the window. So ultimately, a lot of black economics could be solved. About 90% of the black economic problems could be solved by simply shutting the leaks and shutting the windows. What does that mean? Well, that means that if we simply did something like redirected just an extra 10% of black spending, the extra 10% of that 1.6, 1.7 trillion that we spend every year, and we directed that toward black owned businesses, well, 10% of 1.7 trillion is $170 billion. That means we could create 170 billionaires every year. We could, or 170,000 millionaires, right? Because a billionaire is 1,000 millionaires, right? Or $170 billion businesses